So this is my latest quilt top, and it's basically, I'm calling it Log Cabin with Flower Applique, because it's just log cabin blocks with, well, flower applique. So later in the video on the applique section, I do go through where I got the idea for this quilt and where you can find the templates for it if you want to make the little flowers. Again, you can make anything you want on that block. You can make hearts and stars and other flowers, or, well, really whatever you'd like. I got this fabric in, it's called Reflections, and it's by Riley Blake, and it was just so vintagey and so sweet and so cute, and I played around with so many blocks and just couldn't come up with something I liked until I did a little log cabin with it, and I thought, oh, I like it. And then I remembered this quilt that I'd seen in a Cath Kidston book called Sew, and I thought, yep, this is what I'm going to do. So basically, to make your own quilt, if you ever want to design your own quilt, it's very easy. I mean, when you're just doing block quilts, they're blocks. So pick your block size. And even if it's something like this here, where this is just a 10.5-inch white background square that I've put an applique on. I mean, you can do, anyone can basically do that. And then beside it, put other blocks to fill in the space. They can even just be 10.5-inch blocks of just your favorite print. It doesn't even have to be put together. And you can have a really, really nice quilt. For the log cabins, these are 2-inch strips, and there is a section in this video on how to put those together. Basically, I just did a whole pile of 2-inch strips, put them in a little bin. These here are 2-inch as well, and I'd cut a whole bunch of those just to have in the bin so I can get my little starter blocks. And I just randomly picked from my little bin, and when I ran out of strips, I just cut a couple more. So you don't have to go cutting up yards and yards of fabric, just cut up some and start from there. Let's see, what else can I say about it? So these are 10.5-inch. If you wanted to make 12.5-inch blocks or 8.5-inch blocks, well, make those. Put them together in the size you want. This here ends up being basically, I think, like a twin. So it'd be awesome on a couch or a little girl's bed or something like that. And the sides here, those are 2.5-inch strips that I just did all the way around just to tie it together. When I quilt it, I'm just a stitch in the ditch type quilter. So these here, I'll probably pick up like this square here and quilt it, and around here and quilt it. I probably won't do every single line, but it will be stitch in the ditch. For these ones here, I love to do big stitch with DMC thread. So, well, I use DMC Pearl 5, and I just usually go around about here, and I make nice big stitches all the way around each applique, usually with the same sort of color, and it just pops them right out and makes them really, really sweet. And then I'll stitch in the ditch all around it. That's usually all I do. I don't get too fancy with mine, but you can do whatever you'd like with yours. So if you'd like to make a quilt like this, or find out how to make some of these blocks so you can end up making your own version of it, just watch the video and I'll go through both blocks. I think I've covered everything that you'd need to know. Yeah. So anyway, good luck with it, and I hope this inspires some of you guys to go make your own quilts and find, you know, that this stuff is not nearly as hard as you think it is. Play around and just have some fun. All right, how I sew this block. So get your machine all set up, and I use an open toe foot, and my machine is electronic and the needle moves a lot very easily, so I set it to 5.5, and it basically, so between the edge of my open toe foot and here at 5.5 is 1/4 inch. So I do that because I like to see everything and I don't like to change my foot all the time, so it's just a lazy little trick there. Okay, so you take two 2-inch squares, put them together, make sure if there's a little design on there that the right side's facing up, and so. Finger press it open. Now, if you want to be absolutely perfect, of course, you can go to your ironing board and do all of that, trim all of that. I'm just not that person. I like to make something because I made it, and I don't need the quilting police to come after me and say, I didn't do this and I didn't do that. I actually like to enjoy quilting and sewing. Therefore, I don't recommend quilting police. Okay, so next we're going to do is sew something along either side. You can pick, you can sew up here, you can sew down here. It's up to you. Depends on how perfect you want to make all your blocks. I'm gonna put mine down here. So I sort of lay it out because you can kind of see that these are going to have a design. And we'll lay it out there. There we go. All right. Sew down just until you reach the end of your block here, okay? If you sew a little past it, it's okay. Take a pair of sharp scissors and cut right underneath the block, like that, so it's nice and flush. Okay? Open that up. When you press, always press to the new side when you're making this block. Okay? There we go. So now it looks like that. Isn't that cute? All right, so let's add something up the side. No, he don't fit. Now, when you get little bits like this has been trimmed off several times, okay, and he's not really going to fit this block or that block, put him aside and make a 2-inch block out of it. That way you can add to your 2-inch block stash. Okay, so he's just going to go off to the side there. All right, let's do, okay, there's green already there. Let's do this guy here. And, oh, look, there's a cherry. I think I might line up the cherry. So it'll be like that. Put it over. And this one here, I'm gonna sew from the back edge only because I want to get that cherry in there. There is no rules on if you have to sew from this side or from that side. Basically, you just want it to be sewn. If you sew it from this side, you can actually see where your line is. All right, there we go, chop, chop. Again, he's not big enough to fit, so he's going to be a 2-inch block, so I'm going to put him off to the side. Waste not, want not. Look at that. Isn't that cute? Alright, now I need something for the top. So I think I only have a couple colors in here, so he is going to end up being green. What greens do I have? Ooh. Let's pick this green. It's going to be this one here, a darkish green. Or should we put it, ooh, a darkish green on the bottom. I might save him. Okay, let's put this guy on top. Okay, that looks about right. I'm going to cross up that. There we go. Chop, chop, chop. And there's that guy. All right, I'll do one more down the side here, and we'll do pink. Ooh, cherries. This line is full of cherries. All right, that'll give me a cherry going the right way. You can plan this out, but life's too short. And I like things that are a bit scrappy. All right. Try not to over plan when you make something scrappy, okay? Because I have 2 pinks together, and normally that would just drive me nuts, but the color choices in here are not a lot, so you kind of have to have some colors beside each other, and it's okay, they will survive. And we'll just do this one here, so you don't have to hear me talking through making an entire block. My blocks finish at 10.5 by 10.5, which is what I wanted for this quilt. You can, of course, keep going. You can make them smaller, larger, whatever you would like. There we go. So he's starting to look like that, which is a nice little square. And what you'll notice on the back, the way that it all folds, this is a nice one to do this sort of random non-ironing thing, because they do fold down really nicely on the back. Everything just sort of goes in this little pattern and just flattens itself, which is rather nice. So there we go. So basically keep going around until you have a 10 by 10, and then you can make your next block, which I'll show you how to do. So this here is the flower block that I'm going to show you, and hopefully the camera doesn't move too much. These old floors are very, very wonky, and it seems to move everything. All right, so the inspiration for this block, actually I've always wanted to do this, comes from the Cath Kidston book called Sew. And this is the book that got me back into sewing. And here comes my dog Scouse in case you hear her running. So this here is the quilt that she did in her book, which is really, really cute. And I've always wanted to do something like this. So what I've done is I've used the flower block and then I've used the log cabins in between them all to sort of break them all up. It's very vintagey and it's so sweet. She's cut out centers here. I'm going to put an applique center on mine. So if you do want to have the pattern, you do unfortunately have to buy this book. And the patterns for it are at the back. And you can usually find it now on Abe Books because it's discontinued. But anyway, here we go. So that's the flower block. I'm going to do it on here only because I know you guys can see that and I can't see the back of my camera. So you just need some sew-in light interfacing, non-fusible. You don't need fusible for this. Okay, and what you do is I created little templates out of plastic for mine because I use these for quite a few things. And all you have to do is trace it with a pen, and just have enough room that you can, you know, cut these apart and still be able to sew without it being all bunchy and weird. So once you have those, you just cut them apart like so. And then you're going to take a piece of material that you want to put it on. Let's just do this one because I think, will that fit there? No. We'll just get a new piece. We'll just make them, oh, I like that. Excuse you, Scouse. All right. So what we're going to do to make these is we'll have to make two of these, but this is just one. This is a leaf. Now, because it's see-through, it's kind of nice. You can actually stick it on something to fussy cut if you wanted to. Hopefully you can see that. So actually, that's what I'm going to do for that one. So I'll just leave that like that for now. But what you would do is take it to your sewing machine, sew exactly on this line. Okay? All the way around. You're going to encase that. And I know that sounds weird. Then you're going to cut it out. Let me just unfold this little guy. I should have had one of these made. All right, so you're going to cut it all out and it's going to look like this. Trim the sides to about 1/4 to an 1/8 inch away. Okay. Come on. There you go. So it's all trimmed away from the edge. It's all encased. Make a little slit with your scissors in the middle and flip it inside out like so. Like the way I just had it. And it's I don't know how you want to call this. Some people call it interfacing applique. I like to call it faux needle turn because it's like fake needle turn. You get that beautiful needle turned edge without having to do it. And there you go. It is ready to go. So here's our block. And you do that for all the shapes. So here's our block here. And find your lines. I like to find center lines. It just helps to figure out where it's going to go. There we go. And I'll pretend this one here that I have made is going to go there. Like so. I got center line here and here. So put them about there. And then, of course, you have to have your stem. Go there and go there and there. Now, get a glue stick. And I don't have one right here. But anyways, just like a water-soluble glue stick, Elmer's, or if you want to use applique glue or whatever. And you just put a little bit across the bottom and just slap them on like that. Okay? And then they will all stick on there. And then we'll go to the machine and we will sew that on. So I'll do the next part for that. Okay, so we're back to the machine and I'm just going to be using a blanket stitch. A lot of machines do have a blanket stitch, even manual ones. They're sort of in the overlocking part. and play with the length and width of it until you get where you want it. So this here is what I normally do. Use a little test strip. Oh, I'm gonna do that again because it's gonna be over when I do it. There we go. Use a little test strip and sort of get it to, if you can see that, it's sort of along here. So it's like dot, 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 and then it goes over, dot, 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 goes over. And these overs are going to catch your applique and make it look like hand stitching, even though it's not hand stitching. It looks like machine stitching, but you kind of know. The glue, just because now I have one, this here's what I just use. It's just Kids Craft Elmer's glue, and it goes on purple, dries clear. Anyway, I use that for an awful lot of my applique type stuff. You can also buy like applique glues and stuff like that as well, but don't be afraid to experiment with some more sort of cheaper things, because sewing is very expensive. So save it for pretty fabric, not glue that you'll never see again. Okay, so this is all glued on. Like, see, it stays. Okay, and so we'll do the stem, and you just put it under your machine, and I usually hand crank my needle down just a little bit, just so it's not quite touching, just so I can put it exactly where I want it. And I want it to go right along the side of my applique here, so that those little cross stitches that go over go onto the applique. And you're just gonna go all the way around. And I do this a lot, so I tend to go a bit faster, but if you're new to this, take your time. Never be afraid to take your time. Remember to move and position as you need to. Okay, there we go. Take that off. Cut your little threads. And there we go. Isn't that pretty? All done, all appliqued. So basically you do this to every single block, every single little one. When I'm done, which I haven't done yet, I haven't put the little circles in. So there is going to be a circle done exactly the same way that will be put on top. And I think I'm actually going to do that when I go to quilt it, so that when I attach it, it'll just be quilted right on. I think I'm just going to end up doing that. We'll see. But there we go. So that's how I make those blocks. Don't be afraid to like come up with something else. If you want to do a heart, do a heart. Go through some kids coloring books and find some unique shapes and stuff. Just make everything easy. You don't want too many bends or inner curves or things like that. You know, you do kind of want to make it a little bit stress-free and fun. And make your block size whatever you would like. So if you want to do like 12 by 12s or whatever, go for it and do that. And just put them together. I don't know, mine's going to be 30 blocks all together, which will be 5 across and 6 down. And then I'll just stick a border around it, and then just put a backing on it and quilt the little thing. So never be afraid to come up with your own type of quilt and try something new. And don't think everything is so hard. Okay, you can do this. Seriously. See you later.